containment, and we have seen some good improvement surrounding the Kenneth fire now at 90% containment. So unfortunately, at times, depending on which way the wind is blowing, that is affecting our air quality. At times it's not so bad, but once the winds start to pick up again, that will send the embers and the smoke particles in our direction, say around Santa Monica with that northerly wind. Burbank, Pasadena, we've got that wind coming down the slope of the mountains, and unfortunately that could even accelerate as we go through the next couple of days. We've got red flag warnings that are in effect all the way through Wednesday. Notice you see the winds start out rather calm, but then unfortunately when the relative humidity is driest, typically in the afternoon, that's about the same time that the winds are increasing down the mountainside. Here is a look at the largest fire, the Palisades fire, 23,640, 54 acres that have burned, 11% containment all the way to the PCH. We've got that road closed because of this fire. Evacuation orders and evacuation warnings taking place with the Palisades fire. There's your incident perimeter in that yellow shaded right there, but in the red, evacuation orders mean you have to get out now. Now is the time to leave to protect your family. And as you can see, the Eaton fire, we've got that red right up against Mount Wilson, 14,000 acres burned so far. Your incident perimeter also reaching up towards Mount Wilson. And unfortunately here too, we have either evacuation orders or warnings. When it's a warning, that means it's possible you might need to get out and, flee the fire. So have that to-go bag ready by the door. When you're placed under an order, that means you have to get out immediately. Causing problems at the airport, including Minneapolis. De-icing, snow removal going on there. We do have a ground stop that is in effect. So you can see the 25 degrees and light snow being reported. Light snow through the UP of Michigan, Marquette, temperatures in the mid-20s, and even down towards Chicago, the busiest or one of the busier airports, O'Hare and Midway, reporting some light snow right now. If you are traveling here in Minnesota, where you see the pink, we've got snow-covered roadways, especially in the northern and central part of the state, but also starting to see a little bit more of that in the southern part of the state, right near the state line with Iowa. And here in Wisconsin, a lot of pink on this map. So the snow unfortunately covered up a lot of these roadways, and we have very cold temperatures, so it is sticking, especially on those untreated surfaces. Note the wind direction around our clipper. You've got more of a southerly component ahead of it, but behind it, it's coming in from the north and northwest, and that is sending our temperatures down in places like Bismarck and Minot and Rapid City. It's going to be brutal out there in terms of your wind chill factor as well. We're going to watch that snow continue to fall today through this afternoon. There's lunchtime around Green Bay and the Door Peninsula up toward the upper peninsula of Michigan. Certainly Detroit, we could see some breezy conditions and occasional snow showers here as well. Overall, though, I think the heavier accumulating snow is going to be centered in the northern part of this region, and this is what we've seen so far. But Reynolds, as you're going to talk about, we're going to add to a lot of these totals. Yeah. In fact, those winds are going to continue to be gusty and offshore, which is a drying wind. I wish I could get that wind turned around off the Pacific. That is not the case. We've got rapid and extreme fire spread that's going to be possible, just those embers flying from the existing fires, and it only takes a spark to get additional fires going. Another strong Santa Ana event that we're talking about with red flag warnings in effect through Wednesday. Expect down trees and power outages. Make sure you have a way to get that very important information, especially when it comes to evacuations. Here is a look at our 4 large fires that continue to burn, the biggest of which is the Palisades fire, which has burned more than 23,000 acres. They have made a little bit of progress on these fires in terms of containment, but we still have a ways to go. And unfortunately, I hope we don't lose ground on that containment, because we do have the winds to contend with getting stronger as we go into the afternoon. Typically, they start out pretty light, if not calm, during the morning, but they do tend to increase during the afternoon, right about the time we have our lowest relative humidity. So we've got the elevated to critical fire danger, critical in that orange area right where we have those flames that are burning right now. Unfortunately, it continues to be an offshore wind. It's actually onshore for San Francisco Bay, by the way, where they actually have flood advisories, and in fact, coastal flood advisories. But here in Southern California, it is a wind that comes in off the mountains that dries, compresses, heats up, and unfortunately does not bode well, especially for the firefight on this rugged terrain here in Southern California, very hilly terrain. So tomorrow, once again, elevated to critical fire danger, even into Tuesday. More of the same with those strong offshore winds. Unfortunately, Reynolds, we don't have any rain in our forecast for this upcoming week either.
Moisture content in the atmosphere, the wind that we expect to pick up. So we have a situation that is very bad now. Obviously, the stuff of nightmares could get worse in some locations.
Palisades Fire, the largest fire burning with more than 23,000 acres, making some progress on containment the past couple of days, especially when we can battle these fires from above. But when those winds get too strong, unfortunately, the aircraft is grounded.
Yep, your rotary, your fixed wing, they are not going to be a help, so it's going to be difficult out there. From Santa Clarita clear down to just east of San Diego, conditions not favorable.
So unfortunately, the embers that are already flying through the air could cause more fires. I mean, between today and tomorrow, elevated to critical fire danger. In fact, red flag warnings continue all the way through Wednesday. Well, residents in Altadena are returning to what's left of their homes, most of which are coming face to face with the reality of losing everything they owned.
Reporter Conan Nolan from KNBC introduced us to one couple whose home was reduced to rubble.